Imagine standing on a golf course where legends have been made. The crowd falls silent. All eyes turn to one player walking toward the tee. But this isn't Tiger Woods in his prime. This isn't Jack Nicklaus at his peak. This is a teenager who can't even drive a car yet. Stepping onto a stage where grown men have crumbled under pressure. April 2024, Lakewood Ranch, Florida. The Lacombe Suncoast Classic. Professional golfers, seasoned veterans who've dedicated their entire adult lives to this sport, watch as a high school freshman steps up to compete against them. Most shake their heads. Some smirk. A 15-year-old? In a professional tournament? It's almost insulting. Round 1, 68. Eyebrows raise. Round 2, 66. Jaws drop. When the dust settles, Miles Russell has just shattered a record that stood for 35 years. He's the youngest player in Korn Ferry Tour history to make the cut. But he doesn't just survive. He finishes 20th, outplaying professionals twice his age, 3 times his experience. The golf world erupts. Who is this kid? Where did he come from? How is this even possible? But here's what nobody tells you. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a fluke. This was years in the making. A story that began when most kids were still learning to walk. A story of a 2-year-old with a plastic club, whacking balls around his living room while cartoons played unwatched on the television. A story of a grandfather and father who saw something special and decided to nurture it. A story of sacrifices most will never understand and pressure most could never handle. Miles Russell didn't just break records. He broke the Tiger Woods record. And if you think that's where his story ends, you haven't been paying attention. This is where it gets really interesting. If you want to see more incredible stories of young athletes changing the game, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what comes next. Every legend has an origin story. Miles Russell's begins in the most unexpected way. Jacksonville Beach, Florida. November 1st, 2008. While most babies his age were fascinated by colorful toys and cartoon characters, 2-year-old Miles had his eyes fixed on something entirely different. The Golf Channel playing on his family's television. His father, Joe Russell, noticed something unusual. His son wasn't interested in the cartoons. He was mesmerized by the swing of the club, the flight of the ball, the roar of the crowd. It was his grandfather, Ron Hipp, along with Joe, who decided to see if this fascination was real or just a passing phase. They handed Miles a plastic club, took him to the range, and watched something extraordinary unfold. Most kids that age can barely coordinate walking and talking at the same time. Miles was analyzing golf swings. While his peers were learning shapes and colors, Miles was learning grip pressure and stance alignment. At 3 years old, he wasn't asking for the latest video game. He was asking to go to the golf course. The Russell family made a choice that would change everything. They didn't just encourage Miles, they built their lives around his potential. Joe became not just a father, but a coach, a mentor, a constant presence. During professional tournaments, you could find Joe driving his son in the courtesy car, offering quiet words of encouragement, keeping his young prodigy grounded. Training sessions at Atlantic Beach Country Club became routine. Early mornings, late afternoons, weekends, the commitment was total. But there was something else that set Miles apart from other junior golfers. He was left-handed in a sport dominated by right-handed players. This could have been a disadvantage. Instead, it became his signature, his mark of distinction. Like Phil Mickelson before him, Miles would prove that being different wasn't a weakness, it was a weapon. The junior years, building a champion. The junior golf circuit is brutal. It's where dreams are made, and more often, where they're crushed. Young players face the pressure of expectation, the weight of comparison, the brutal reality that talent alone isn't enough. Miles entered this world and didn't just compete, he dominated. 2018. The Junior Honda Classic. Miles was just 9 years old when he claimed his first significant victory. But that was just the appetizer. The main course came in 2020 and 2021, when he won back-to-back U.S. Kids World Championship titles. Winning once could be luck. Winning twice was a statement. But the real explosion came in 2023, a year that would rewrite record books and send shockwaves through the golf establishment. In August, Miles walked onto the course at the Junior PGA Championship in Arkansas. When it was over, he'd posted an 18 under par performance for 72 holes, winning by 7 strokes. 7, that's not a victory, that's a demolition. 1 month later, September 2023, the Junior Players Championship. Another title. Another dominant performance at 9 under par. But the real stunner came on November 2nd, 2023, one day after Miles turned 15 years old. He was named the American Junior Golf Association Rolex Boys Player of the Year, becoming the youngest golfer in history to receive this honor. Let that sink in. Tiger Woods, yes. That Tiger Woods held this record for 32 years. Tiger received the award at 15 years and 10 months. Miles shattered that record at exactly 15 years and 1 day old. He didn't just break Tiger's record, he obliterated it by 9 months. The comparisons were inevitable. Golf pundits started calling him the next Tiger. Social media erupted with debates comparing him to Charlie Woods, Tiger's son, who had been receiving similar attention. But Miles wasn't interested in comparisons. He was too busy creating his own legacy. 2024 brought even more hardware. The Elite Invitational, the Rolex Tournament of Champions, the South Beach International Amateur. Each tournament added another trophy to the collection, another line to the resume. By his 15th birthday, Miles had accumulated more prestigious junior titles than players 10 years older. But awards in junior tournaments are one thing. The real test? Competing against professionals who play golf for a living, who have families to feed, who treat every tournament like a battle for survival. That's where boys become men. That's where Miles was headed next. March 2024, the Puerto Rico Open on the PGA Tour needed to fill spots through Monday, qualifying a brutal one-day shootout where dreams come to die. Professional golfers fight tooth and nail for these spots. Careers can change with a single round. Miles, still 15, showed up and shot a 67. He didn't make it through. He lost in a playoff for the 4th and final spot. But here's what matters. A high school freshman nearly qualified for a PGA Tour event. Professionals who've been grinding on mini tours for years watched a teenager almost take one of their spots. The message was clear. Miles wasn't just some junior phenom. He could compete with the pros. 1 month later, April 2024, the Lecom Suncoast Classic on the Korn Ferry Tour. The Korn Ferry Tour is essentially the minor leagues of professional golf, one step below the PGA Tour, but still filled with incredibly talented players trying to earn their PGA Tour card. Many never make it. Most who do spend years grinding it out first. Miles received a sponsor exemption, which means the tournament gave him a special invitation to compete. It's a courtesy often extended to promising amateurs. But nobody expected what happened next. Round 1 at Lakewood National Golf Club's Commander Course. 68 strokes. 2 under par. Solid. Respectable. Better than half the field. But it was round 2 that made history. Miles went out and shot a 66, 5 strokes under par. The math was simple and stunning. At 15 years and 5 months old, Miles Russell had just become the youngest player in the 35-year history of the Korn Ferry Tour to make the cut. Making the cut means you play the weekend rounds and have a chance to earn money and points. For professionals, it's the difference between a paycheck and going home empty-handed. For Miles, it was just the beginning. He followed up with rounds of 70 and 66, finishing the tournament at 14 under par, tied for 20th place. 20th place. Out of hundreds of professional golfers, a 15-year-old high school freshman just recorded a top 20 finish against grown men who golf for a living. The previous record for youngest top 20 finish on either the Korn Ferry or PGA Tour? Miles now owned that too. His scoring average across these 4 rounds? An incredible 60-7-point-5. The golf world couldn't believe it. ESPN ran features. Golf Digest wrote cover stories. Social media exploded with highlight reels of his swing, his composure, his maturity beyond his years. But Miles kept his head down. There was more work to do. June 2024. the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit. Not the Korn Ferry Tour this time, the actual PGA Tour, the big leagues. The show. Miles received another sponsor exemption, making his PGA Tour debut at just 15 years old. He opened with a 74, then improved to a 70 in round 2. He narrowly missed the cut, but the experience was invaluable. He'd stood on the same fairways as the world's best golfers and held his own. November 2024. The Butterfield Bermuda Championship. Another PGA Tour event, another near miss of the cut. But here's what the casual observer misses. Across all his professional starts in 2024 or 2. Korn Ferry Tour events and 2 PGA Tour events, Miles posted a scoring average of 16.64. That's consistently under par against professional competition. That's not a fluke. That's elite-level golf. Critics started to emerge. He's too young. The pressure will get to him. He's playing over his head. Miles had the perfect response. More victories. If 2024 was Miles Russell's coming-out party, 2025 became his coronation. The young lefty from Jacksonville Beach entered the year ranked as the #1 junior golfer in America and the 15th ranked men's amateur golfer in the entire world. That's not just good for his age, that's elite. By any standard, the AJGA Simplified Boys Championship at Carlton Woods Victory, the Junior Invitational at Sage Valley, one of the most prestigious junior events in the world. Victory. But the crown jewel came in August at TPC Sawgrass, the legendary Players Stadium course that hosts the PGA Tour's Players Championship, often called the 5th Major. The Junior Players Championship presented by Rolex. Miles had won this event in 2023. Now, in 2025, he was back to defend his title. The pressure was immense. Everyone was watching. Everyone had expectations. Champions are supposed to crack under this pressure. Miles went wire to wire, meaning led from start to finish, posting a 9 under par performance. But it wasn't easy. On the 17th hole, with the tournament on the line, Miles faced a crucial approach shot. The pressure of that moment would have destroyed most players twice his age. He hit it to birdie range and converted. Championship secured. With this victory, Miles Russell became the first player in the history of the Junior Players Championship to win the event twice. Not the youngest. Not the first in a while. The first ever, period. The awards kept coming. In November 2025, Miles was named the AJGA Rolex Junior Player of the Year for the second time. He's now a 2-time recipient of the sport's highest junior honor, an achievement that places him in truly rarefied air. Combined with his Junior Ryder Cup appearances in 2023 and 2025, and his Junior President's Cup victories in 2024 and 2025, Miles has represented the United States on the international stage multiple times, winning more often than not. What makes Miles Russell special isn't just his trophy case. It's how he's built as a golfer and a person. At 16 years old, he drives the ball an average of 287.8 yards. That's tour-level distance. His driver smash Fatora, measurement of how efficiently he transfers energy to the ball, is 1.48. That's elite. His launch angle, spin rate, ball speed, every measurable metric shows a player who's not just talented but technically sound, but technique alone doesn't explain Miles. There are plenty of technically proficient golfers who never achieve greatness. What separates Miles is mental. Watch him on the course and you see something unusual. He doesn't act like a teenager. No emotional outbursts. No visible frustration. No celebration that borders on arrogance. He's calm, composed, focused. It's almost eerie. His competitors, many of them older and more experienced, talk about how unnerving it is to play against him. He doesn't trash talk. He doesn't try to psych you out. He just plays his game, hole after hole, shot after shot, with a machine-like consistency that wears opponents down. By the time they realize they're in a fight, Miles is already pulling away. Then there's his team. Golf is technically an individual sport, but no golfer succeeds alone. Miles has his father, Joe, who's been there every step of the way, providing emotional support and logistical help. His grandfather, Ron, who sparked that initial love of the game, his coach at Atlantic Beach Country Club, who's refined his technical skills, and behind the scenes. A support system that includes mental coaches, fitness trainers, and sports psychologists, because managing the pressure of being labeled the next big thing at 15 requires more than just golf skills. There's also his equipment sponsors, including TaylorMade Golf, who've backed him with tour-level equipment and support. Unlike many junior golfers piecing together mismatched clubs, Miles plays with the same technology used by major champions. That level of investment from major companies tells you everything about how the industry views his potential. On June 30th, 2025, Miles Russell made an announcement that sent ripples through college golf. He'd verbally committed to Florida State University. With plans to enroll in fall 2026, the choice was significant. Florida State has produced some of golf's biggest names, including five-time major champion Brooks Koepka. The program, led by coach Trey Jones, is known for developing professional caliber talent. But here's the question nobody can answer. Will Miles actually go to college? With NIL deals now available to college athletes, he could earn substantial money while getting an education. But he could also turn professional at any moment, forgoing college entirely to chase PGA Tour cards and professional earnings. It's a decision that will define the next chapter of his career. What we do know is this. Miles Russell is currently listed as part of the high school class of 2027. Though he's being homeschooled to accommodate his demanding golf schedule, he's the unanimous #1 recruit in his class. Schools around the country would have loved to have him. He chose Florida State. Why? According to Miles, it came down to the program's culture. The coaching staff's vision for his development, the success of previous Florida State golfers at the professional level. He's already spending time with his future teammates at various tournaments, building relationships that will matter when or if he arrives on campus. There's also the matter of his immediate schedule. Miles isn't just playing junior events anymore. He's mixing in professional starts, testing himself against the best in the world. Each PGA Tour or Korn Ferry Tour event he enters brings new experience, new lessons, new challenges. He's learning how to manage not just his game, but his life, dealing with media obligations, sponsor expectations, fan attention, and the constant pressure to perform. The comparisons to Tiger Woods continue. But there's an important difference. Tiger turned professional at 20 after 3 years at Stanford. Miles is on a potentially different trajectory. If he keeps progressing at his current rate, he could be ready for professional golf by 18 or even younger. The youngest player to ever compete on the PGA Tour was Ty Tryon at 17. The youngest to win? Jordan Spieth at 19. Those records might be in Miles's crosshairs. Miles Russell's story is about more than one talented teenager. It represents a shift in how we think about athletic development, about when someone is ready for the professional stage, about the relationship between age and ability. For decades, golf followed a fairly predictable path: dominate as a junior, play college golf for 2 to 4 years, turn professional in your early 20s, spend years grinding on developmental tours, maybe eventually make it to the PGA Tour. Miles is skipping steps, and his success is forcing the sport to reconsider its assumptions. He's also representing the power of specialized early training. Critics argue he's being pushed too hard, too young, that he's missing out on a normal childhood. Supporters counter that this is his childhood, that some kids love soccer or piano or mathematics, and Miles genuinely loves golf. The debate rages on, with Miles and his family caught in the middle. There's also the economic reality. Professional golf at the highest levels is incredibly lucrative. PGA Tour winners earn millions. Major champions earn tens of millions and gain lifetime financial security. If you have a legitimate shot at that level of success, how long should you wait? Miles and his family are betting that sooner is better than later, that the experience gained from professional competition is more valuable than the traditional developmental path. But there are cautionary tales too. Golf history is littered with junior phenoms who flamed out, couldn't handle the pressure, who peaked too early and never recovered. Ty Tryon, once labeled the next Tiger Woods, never achieved sustained professional success. Michelle V, who also turned professional as a teenager, took years to find her footing on tour. The path Miles is walking is treacherous. There are no guarantees. What separates Miles from previous prodigies might be his support system and, ironically, his relative lack of hype. Unlike some junior stars who've been in the spotlight since early childhood, Miles has developed somewhat quietly, building his resume before the mainstream golf world even knew his name. He's avoided some of the enormous pressure that crushed previous phenoms. There's also his personality. In interviews, Miles comes across as humble, grounded, and genuinely passionate about golf. He doesn't talk about breaking records or making millions. He talks about improving his short game, learning course management, enjoying the competition. That kind of perspective, if it's genuine and maintained, can be the difference between a shooting star and a lasting legacy. Of course, Miles isn't the only talented junior golfer in America. The inevitable comparisons to Charlie Woods, Tiger's son, have dominated social media and golf publications. While Charlie has immense talent and legendary bloodlines, Miles has, to this point, the more impressive competitive resume. He's won bigger tournaments and achieved historic firsts that Charlie hasn't yet matched. But both are still teenagers, and their stories are far from over. Then there are the international players. Junior golf is now a global sport, with phenoms emerging from Asia, Europe, South America, and beyond. Miles's ranking of 15th in the world amateur rankings puts him in elite company, but it also means there are 14 players technically ranked ahead of him. As he transitions from junior golf to amateur golf to professional golf, the competition only gets tougher. What gives Miles an edge is his professional experience. Most 16-year-olds haven't even seen a PGA Tour event in person. Miles has competed in them. He's felt the pressure of playing for a cut. He's experienced both the thrill of historic achievements and the disappointment of near misses. That experience is invaluable and can't be replicated in junior tournaments. No matter how prestigious, as we close out 2025 and look toward 2026 and beyond, Miles Russell stands at a crossroads. He's accomplished more before his 17th birthday than most golfers accomplish in entire careers. He's broken records that stood for decades. He's competed against professionals and proven he belongs. But the hardest part lies ahead. The transition from phenomenal junior to successful professional is where careers are defined. Some make it look easy. Most struggle. A select few become legends. Which category will Miles fall into? The odds favor continued success. He has elite physical tools, distance, accuracy, short game touch. He has mental toughness that's rare at any age. He has world-class coaching and support. He has experience competing at high levels under intense pressure. All the ingredients are there. But golf is cruel. Injuries happen. Slumps happen. The mental grind of professional golf playing every week. Missing cuts, dealing with media, handling expectations, has broken strong people. Miles will face challenges we can't predict. How he responds will determine everything. What we can say with certainty is this: Miles Russell has already changed the conversation about age and ability in professional golf. He's inspired thousands of young golfers who now believe they don't have to wait until their 20s to compete at the highest levels. He's made tournament directors rethink their policies on sponsor exemptions for young players. He's proven that, with the right talent, support, and mindset, teenagers can compete with professionals. If Miles continues on his current trajectory, we could be watching the beginning of one of golf's great careers. If he turns professional at 18 and immediately earns his PGA Tour card, he'll be one of the youngest ever to do so. If he wins a major championship before 25, he'll join Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy in truly exclusive company. If he accumulates multiple major championships over a 20-year career, he'll be mentioned alongside the sport's immortals. But even if none of that happens, even if Miles has a solid but unremarkable professional career, he's already accomplished something remarkable. He's shown that age is not the barrier many believed it to be. He's demonstrated that with passion, support, and unwavering dedication, young people can achieve extraordinary things. He's given us a story worth following, a journey worth watching, the legacy already in progress. So where do we stand with Miles Russell as 2025 draws to a close? He's 17 years old. Two-time a JGA Player of the Year. Youngest player to make a Korn Ferry Tour cut. Youngest top 20 finisher on the Korn Ferry Tour. First ever two-time Junior Players Champion. The list goes on. But statistics don't capture the full story. They don't show the hours on the range in Florida heat. They don't show the family sacrifices. They don't show the pressure of being constantly compared to Tiger Woods. They don't show the courage it takes to step onto a professional golf course when you're young enough to need a parent's signature on legal documents. Miles Russell isn't just a golfer. He's a symbol of what's possible when talent meets opportunity, meets relentless dedication. He's a reminder that greatness doesn't wait for permission or follow conventional timelines. He's proof that sometimes the youngest person in the room is also the best. The next chapters of his story remain unwritten. Will he dominate college golf or skip it entirely? Will he win on the PGA Tour as a teenager? Will he someday hoist major championship trophies? Nobody knows. But we'll all be watching, because Miles Russell isn't just the youngest golfer. He's dominating in 2025. He might just be the future of the sport itself. And that future is arriving sooner than anyone expected.